KUAM News Headlines is presented by Calvo's Insurance, serving Guam for 80 years. Matson, gold sponsor of the 2018 Micro Games in Yap. The all-new 2018 Kona by Hyundai, available at Cars Plus. IP&E, fueling excellence. McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it. And King's Restaurant, located in Tamuning and Dedido. Always open, always local.
Ahead on Primetime, he's not stepping away from the campaign, but that decision cost him his job at Guam DOE. Details on the firing of Lieutenant Governor candidate David Cruz. Plus, pressure from island leaders to release a CMS corrective action plan, the hospital giving in to the directive over the weekend. And yet another criminal and internal affairs investigation underway after officers find more contraband at the local prison.
Hafaday and good evening. Is it the start of a rather nasty campaign season, or was it all just a process that happened to unravel as the deadline crept up for the candidates to make it onto the ballot? The questions come after a Guam DOE teacher and candidate for lieutenant governor is fired from his government job. But that candidate, David Cruz, is also calling his termination, quote, politically motivated. Carmen Chalahi has more in tonight's top story.
A firm stands to continue teaching, demolished, after the Department of Education fires John F. Kennedy High teacher David Cruz. The lieutenant governor candidate and Senator Dennis Rodriguez's running mate is now out of a teaching job. He was an ROTC instructor at the home of the Islanders, making $125,000 a year. Cruz now considering legal action. His candidacy recently causing alarm after a petition sent by former Senator Robert Klitsky contending Cruz's contract with DOE while running for higher office is, quote, illegal. Klitsky citing Guam law saying John Fernandez, the department's superintendent, was illegally spending in favor of the Rodriguez-Cruz campaign and using the superintendent's official position to sway an election. Cruz's contract also brought up during the slew of allegations made public by the governor's former communications director, Troy Torres. Torres' Laddie Heights home was raided earlier this year related to a drug investigation, though he was never charged. He alleged Governor Calvo's approval to change Cruz's classification on his contract so that he could run was used as leverage. The claim was for Senator Rodriguez to vote yes in favor of the Gov's bill to pass the 2% sales tax. Allegations Rodriguez confirmed are true. Adelup still denying the contract was ever held hostage.
It's funny because at the very beginning, when the contract first came to the governor was then accused of, even though he signed it within days of receiving it, he was accused of holding it hostage in order to keep the campaign from taking off. And now he's being accused of signing it to embarrass Mr. Dave Cruz. To that kind of, you're changing your story midstream.
Cruz claims his termination is political. In a statement, the Rodriguez-Cruz campaign says DOE gave Cruz an ultimatum to either withdraw from the race for lieutenant governor, resign, or face termination. Today, Cruz, in a statement, publicly confirmed he was fired from his day job, saying, quote, at the end of the day, my contract was terminated for no other reason than the fact that I'm running for lieutenant governor. I was discriminated against for political reasons, end quote.
To us, that has nothing to do with his campaign. And really, if at the end of the day you wanted to run for an elected office, you have to do your due diligence to make sure that you are qualified. That's no one else's job.
In response, Superintendent Fernandez, on personal leave, has not disclosed the reason for DOE's decision to ultimately terminate Cruz's contract, reserving his right to comment on what he calls a, quote, personnel matter. Most recently, he told KUAM he forwarded Klitsky's petition to the Office of the Attorney General, though KUAM confirms AG Elizabeth Barrett Anderson met with the superintendent, though no official opinion on the matter was released. Cruz said he found it, quote, highly suspect that all of this is happening just days before the June 26th filing deadline with the GEC. Fernandez declined KUAM's request for an interview, but in a statement posted on the GDOE WhatsApp group, Fernandez stated, quote, my focus is on getting schools ready for the school year, getting GDOE off of high risk, and getting funding for the renovation of Simon Sanchez High School, among many other things. We wish the best of luck to all the candidates in their pursuit of their respective offices. We only ask that they support and prioritize public schools." End quote. Despite the firing, Cruz says the silver lining, he can now concentrate his time on making a run for Adelup. Reporting for Guam News Network, I'm Carmen Victoria Terlahi.
Thanks, Carmen. Well, GMH CEO Peter John Camacho has released a corrective action plan for the deficiencies cited in a recent report by the Center for Medicaid and Medicare. The responses are seen as crucial for the hospital's continued eligibility in the critical federal programs. Nestor Lecanto reports.
Camacho had been under fire for not releasing the plan to senators earlier. Governor Calvo even weighing in, calling for it to be made public. Camacho finally relenting after first saying he couldn't until after 90 days from the April 27 inspection date. The CMS inspection team found 7 major deficiencies. The hospital's detailed responses take up more than 100 pages. Some of the findings include lack of an effective quality assessment and performance improvement plan, failure to validate a hospital staffer's credentials, failure to have an organized nursing service to meet patient needs, failure to have radiological services that meet professionally approved standards, and failure to ensure a discharge planning program for all patients. But Camacho stands by his earlier public comments that it was more about a lack of funding than management.
There are issues, and we own the issues, and where there are leadership issues, if you will, and that's throughout the whole organization, there's that, but there's also the correlation to funding, whether it be direct, like not having the money to do the physical plant replacement and maintenance, to things like not having enough staffing.
There is no question that the hospital has been underfunded for decades, not able to make ends meet because a significant percentage of patients it can't turn away aren't able to pay. That's why the administration is pushing for a dedicated funding source like the new sales tax. And Camacho says if senators repeal the law, it will likely have an adverse impact.
We're not going to be able to have that funding source, whatever the source would be, to continue the work that we need to do, such as the physical plant, such as medical equipment replacement, such as, other critical utilities that we have in the hospital that we currently are trying to deal with, like the electrical panel.
GMH is confident its proposed corrective actions are responsive to CMS's concerns, but there's no specific deadline for them to decide. Meanwhile, a special legislative committee convenes later this week to start looking into the hospital's latest crisis. For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
You can view the CMS Corrective Action Plan on KUAM.com. Well, the Guam Memorial Hospital owes more than $1 million to the GovGuam Retirement Fund. The fund recently sent a letter to the hospital about their ongoing delinquent contributions and giving notice of the possibility to take GMH to court if they don't pay up. The issue was brought up back in January when the hospital's bill at the time was about $1.5 million. Then GMH Administrator Peter John Camacho said non-payment means GMH retirees would not be able to have their retirement request processed. No word yet from the hospital if and when they would be able to make that payment. Well, it looks like Adelup is stepping in and laying down their 2 cents once again over the GMH controversy. Over the weekend, the governor's office sent out a frequently asked questions release addressing the concerns of Guam's only public hospital. And according to that release, political tactics played by legislators seeking higher office are to blame. Kiana Mendiola reports.
Is it for politics or for the people? The Office of Governor Eddie Calvo released a series of frequently asked questions regarding the current issues surrounding the Guam Memorial Hospital. According to Adelup spokesperson Oyaol Nirarekyao, the goal is to inform the public of the facts surrounding Guam's only hospital, as the topic has now become a, quote, political football for those seeking higher office, end quote.
Reminding people of the primary issue. The primary issue has been, the underfunding of GMH.
A cycle that has continued over 4 decades and surpassed numerous leaders.
The one constant that has been there has always been the shortfall in revenues, because when you have a mandate that requires that you provide care to everyone who walks in through your doors, but not everyone who walks in through your doors is paying their bill, you're going to have a shortfall.
It was just earlier this year that senators passed a bill to implement a sales tax in October that would dedicate $30 million in funding to GMH. However, GMH admin and its director, Peter John Camacho, have been under recent fire by legislators after their $200 million plus budget request for the upcoming fiscal year, and withholding the report by the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare, creating tension from senators concerned that management is the true source of the hospital's monetary problems. But the governor's office believes that it's legislators at fault for not adequately funding the hospital.
Everyone's talking about management being an issue. GMH has gone to the legislature to talk about the shortage in staff. And when you have a lack of hospitalists, when you have a lack of nurses, what happens? You have people who are having to work an extra shift or a longer shift, and that becomes an issue, and that can cause problems. And so, really, we're just. It is a part of a larger picture.
The FAQ points out political motives for certain legislators seeking higher office, who have made it their agenda to repeal the sales tax law, including Senator and congressional candidate Michael St. Nicholas and Senators Frank Uggan and Oversight Chair Dennis Rodriguez Jr., both who are running for governor.
Will everything be solved with the $30 million? Probably not, but man, that's a great start.
Rodriguez is specifically named for his lack of leadership and action in his duties as oversight chair, including his absence from the recent budget hearing. The senator could not be reached for further comment, but his office did release a statement saying that he was present at the hearing. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Kiani Mendiola.
And to see the full FAQ release, visit KUAM.com. And those vying for public office now have less than 24 hours to file candidacy packets with the Guam Election Commission. Potential candidates have until 5 p.m. tomorrow to meet that deadline.
The law says that for the special election and for the special election and for the primary election, they need to file 60 days before the election. So tomorrow.
The GEC is working with some tight deadlines with this election season, including putting on a special election for public auditor. As we reported, Speaker B.J. Cruz announced he is running for public auditor, but if he wins, that means he would have to fill the job immediately, leaving a seat open at the legislature.
There will remain, if the Speaker wins as public auditor, there will remain in the legislature 14 senators until next year, when the new slate of candidates are sworn in.
Meantime, the GEC's next steps are to review candidate packets and petitions. July 2nd is the tentative date for ratification of the candidates and ballot placement drawings. The local prison needs an emergency procurement in order to continue providing food services for the inmates and detainees at DOC. DEPCOR extended its invitation for bid back in March and remained in emergency procurement with its current vendor, Basel Food Industrial Services Corp. Prison leaders have said this cause was due to delays in the selection process by the GSA. The DEPCOR director recently requested that GSA approved another emergency procurement up to 90 days, as the current one is set to expire on June 30th. Multiple criminal and internal affairs investigations underway into the contraband found at the Department of Corrections so far this year. And yet another case unfolding over the weekend. Corrections officers intercepting a package apparently thrown over the fence behind the dome units early Saturday. The package contained chewing tobacco, cigarettes, and a lighter. The items were given over to the Guam Police Department's Mandania Drug Task Force. Investigators have yet to identify the person responsible for this most recent find. Well, stick around for more news here on Primetime. You're watching KUAM.
There are more ways to experience KUAM News than any other source on Guam. Download the KUAM News app for your Apple or Android device for 24/7 news, sports, videos, weather, streaming with KUAM radio, and important news alerts. And stay connected at home with Guam's first app for Apple TV. All available now from the App Store.
A simple handshake. That's all Jake Calvo needed when he started his company. Today, 80 years later, we like to say thank you to all of you who have taken our hand in trust. Thank you to the dreamers. Thank you to the realists. Thank you to the family-oriented. Thank you to the entrepreneurial. Thank you to those climbing the corporate ladder. And to the ones starting a new life together. Thank you to the traditionalists. and the edgy, to the young at heart and the old souls. Thank you to the daring, to the protective, to the practical. Thank you to the hopeful. To all of you from all of us, our deepest, happiest, and infinite thanks.
80 years here for you. 80 years thanks to you. Calvo's Insurance, a legacy of trust.
As administrator of the courts, I've seen firsthand how many criminal cases are filed each and every day. Crime is on the rise, and we do not feel safe, even in our own homes. A Leon Guerrero Tenorio administration will make public safety a top priority by hiring enough police officers for our roads and in our villages. We will expand community policing, and we will provide our officers with the equipment and resources to do their job safely. I'm in to protect our families, and I humbly ask you to vote for us.
I'm Leon Guerrero, and I approve this message.
In this divided world, there are still things that unite us. Great music, thrilling games, and the love for that perfect burger. Ruby Tuesday Guam, for the love of burgers menu. For a limited time, get an amazing burger for just $11.99. Lunchtime at Ruby Tuesday Guam.
There are more ways to experience Guam via KUAM News, giving you what you want, when you want, and how you want it. From smart devices, Alexa, what's in the news?
Here's your flash briefing.
Over the web, on mobile, on streaming platforms, with immersive, interactive formats, and via social media where it's more than just content, it's conversation. More ways to keep you informed and entertained whenever you want it, wherever you are, on whatever device you're using.
Welcome back. Rebuild the home of the Sharks. Senator Frank Hogan Jr., also running for governor, introduced a bill to transfer $1 million from the governor's office to DOE to rebuild Simon Sanchez High. This comes after a budget hearing where DOE Superintendent John Fernandez said there's no money for the rebuild after the money was reappropriated to the general fund.
If ADLUC can hire 5+ individuals in their office and commit this government in payroll in excess of $6 million a year, because coming into the next fiscal year, we still have to address that payroll requirement, then they could identify $1 million within the office of the governor's budget to be able to take care of this critical need for the students in Simon Sanchez High School.
Bill 305 would deappropriate $1 million from the Office of the Governor to DOE for the sole purpose of procurement of an owner's agent engineer and architectural and engineer services. The money would go to securing a design. Fernandez previously stated a design should be complete by the start of next school year. A new audit of GURA released by the OPA cites 5 material weaknesses and 11 significant deficiencies. The material weaknesses include eligibility documentation was unsigned or not on file, a lack of inspection reports or unsigned reports, and erroneous calculations of tenant income. The significant deficiencies include no criminal background check, no verification against National Sexual Registry, incorrect flat rate amount, and tenants not meeting community service requirements. The management letter also identified 9 repeat findings that include inconsistent quality control testing of tenant files, incomplete documents of reviews and certification, the need to update the housing database, and insufficient accounting system, and the need to review local fund accounts. In summary, the OPA says, quote, compliance continues to be a significant issue for GURA, which has consistently received modified opinions since fiscal year 2012 due to material weaknesses and significant deficiencies on 3 to 4 major federal programs. The CPA firm of Berger, Comer, and Maliari conducted the audit for the OPA. It's back again. The National Weather Service saying more volcanic haze from Mount Kilauea in Hawaii has reached the Marianas. The special weather statement from weather officials shows the haze is expected to linger across the area for much of this week. The community will notice a reduction in visibility during this time, though it's not expected to cause any health problems. Public health officials remind those with respiratory issues to limit outdoor activity until the haze reduces or dissipates. The Guam National Guard and the Guam Fire Department will test the air at various sites across the island and send results to Guam EPA for further analysis. Now, Guam Homeland officials say the haze may return in the coming weeks or even months. Some encouraging news for the Guam-Japan travel market. Come October, United Airlines will increase the number of seats by 80% by using larger planes on 2 of its 3 daily flights. United saying From October 28th through the end of next March, it will resume flying 2 wide-body Boeing 777 aircraft instead of the smaller 737s. That means an extra 60,000 seats during that period. United's Managing Director of Asia Pacific Airport Operations, Sam Shinohara, says they've noticed the market begin to recover in the last few months, and it's a direct response to the rising demand from business and leisure travelers. And for the summer peak season in August, United is adding 20 additional flights to Guam from Tokyo and Nagoya. Well, about $44 million in tax refunds have been in the mail today. The Department of Revenue Tax processed the checks last Friday. Now, this batch of 1,308 checks are for Status A tax returns that were filed up to February 8th. Now to some heartbreaking news to pass along. Former Democratic Party Chairman Frank Carbolito has passed away, the party announced Monday. Carbolito was Director of Civil Defense during Governor Ricky Berdalio's administration and was head of the department during Super Typhoon Pamela in 1976. Carbolito was also a survivor of the battle for Wake Island. He is the father of Supreme Court Justice Philip Carbolito. Funeral services are scheduled for this Saturday at the Ordot Church. And sports is next, but first, a look at your island weather.
Make every day a plus.
It's a celebration at Cars Plus and Mighty. And during our Jeep Celebration event, you'll save thousands on every new Jeep in stock. Like a new 2018 Compass, save up to $3,750. Or save up to $4,000 on a new 2018 Cherokee. How about a new Renegade? Save up to $6,000. Plus, buy today and receive a Cars Plus value card, where you get 21 cents off per gallon at all Shell stations. Hurry in for our Jeep Celebration event, going on now at Cars Plus and Mighty. Cars Plus, driven by you.
KUAM Sports is presented by Triple J.
What's up, Guam? Dave Delgado here for KUAM Sports. Thanks for watching. Tonight on the show, we're going to introduce you to a few members of the national track team heading to Yap for this year's Micronesian Games. Check it out. Guam's Track and Field Federation is sending 17 athletes to the Micronesian Games in Yap. The last time Guam was represented at the Games was back in 2010, with Derek Mendel, Jeannie Gerardo, and Joffrey Limtiaco leading the way. Team Guam took home 28 medals in the 2010 Games, and most recently came home with 75 medals from the Micronesia Championships held in Saipan for junior and senior competitors.
It's always good to go up against the best in the region, and since Micronesia Games brings out the best in the Micronesia region, it's always good to test ourselves against that type of competition. We're kind of known in the region for being strong in distance, mid-distance to long distance, so we hope to continue that with this team. I expect that at the very least from the 800 on up to even the half marathon, I think we should be able to get some medals.
Regine Tagadi has a shot at stepping onto the podium in the 100 and 400 meter events. Tagadi is one of the most decorated athletes on this year's team. Heading to the Micro Games, she says training has definitely stepped up since running for the Naval Academy.
Staying really disciplined, but whether it comes to like workouts or practice, whether it's just like waking up in the morning or stuff like that, like little things are really what matters the most, like when it comes to recovery. One of the big things was, for me especially, was being disciplined with like my diet. Like I know everybody here loves food. We all love our Chamorro food, our Filipino food, but that's one of the things you gotta like try to limit or at least control.
The team is looking to carry the momentum from the Saipan competition and already have their eyes set on next year's Pacific Games. Distance runner Ryan Matienzo will be stepping onto the track for his first Micronesian Games.
Basically, I did a lot of changes. Road race is way different than the track. It's not how you attack the course. It's basically who you're racing with, who you're gonna compete there, who's gonna stay with you, who you're gonna stay with. I'm looking forward to PR on the 5K and the 10K because it's course flat. I never run on the track.
Janina Chris is coming off a double gold medal performance at the Micronesia Championships. Janina took the 800-meter and 1,500-meter races and also won the Most Outstanding Female Performance Award.
It's been quite a privilege. I'm really proud to represent our island, and I hope to continue doing that, make our island proud. But yeah, this is a big stepping stone. I had never been to the games, and really excited to see what's going to happen.
Team Guam departs island on July 10th with the mission of bringing home some hardware. Guam Olympic track runner Josh Illustre says there's no added pressure to win. Just go out there and perform and let the training speak for itself.
We're all really focused. I think we want to come back with some hardware. I think that's the goal right now. I know some of the athletes really want to break the Micro Games record, like especially for like the 1,500 or like the 800. But yeah, I mean, overall, we want to have like a good trip, get to connect with the other athletes from the other sports, and yeah, just make it a fun trip.
In tennis news, number 3 Yuta Shimizu of Japan won his second singles title of the year after defeating number 6 Yuichi Ito 6-3, 6-2 in the final of the 2018 Kings Guam Futures, an ITF Pro Circuit event presented by Docomo Pacific and Hilton Guam Resort and Spa, held at the Hilton Tennis Courts. The 19-year-old Shimizu, ranked as high as number 5 in the world in the ITF Junior Combined ranking, brings his winning record with him into the ITF Pro Circuit, 22-10 for the year in the singles and 23-10 for the year in doubles. Well, that's going to do it for sports. We're back right after this.
We're celebrating our 135th anniversary today, both in the outlying regions on which we hub and also here in Guam itself. It means so much to our team here in Guam. It means a lot to us in the Matson management team because what it says is we're here to stay. It's a real physical manifestation of our commitment to this region. It's so important that we hire locally, we develop talent locally, we train locally. What's been a wonderful addition to our approach there is that many of the people who started off in Guam have gone off into significant leadership roles elsewhere in the company.
This is our headquarters here in Guam in Micronesia. And when we talk about putting down our roots, it's not just doing business, it's about everything we do with our friends, our customers, and our employees. I believe that nobody can replicate what we do, and that's why we have such a great team and such a great service and why we're successful. This is our home, this is our life, and we're happy to make a difference in everyone else's life.
We only have 30 seconds to describe the newest specialty flavor in the Signature Crafted Recipes collection by McDonald's, Garlic White Cheddar. It's layered with a slice of smooth, perfectly melty white cheddar cheese, a crunchy medley of tasty, crispy garlic chips, a dramatic drizzle of smooth, delicious, and flavorful, delectably creamy garlic aioli, all come together with a mouth-wateringly juicy tomato slice and crisp iceberg lettuce atop crispy buttermilk chicken on a soft, warm artisan roll. Luckily, you can take all the time you need to savor every bite. The Signature Crafted Recipes collection by McDonald's.
Beat the increase at Triple J. Buy now before the sales tax starts. 0 down, 1.9% financing, and easy trade-in. Now is the time to buy. Get into a 2018 Mazda CX-5 at our lowest price yet, only $19,995. Or our big boy truck, the Ford F-150, starting at $298 per paycheck. Or the North American Car of the Year, the 2018 Honda Accord at only $206 per paycheck. Beat the increase and buy now at Triple J. Visit us online at triplejguam.com and get pre-approved instantly. Trade-ins welcome. Some conditions apply. Triple J Auto Group. Customers first.
And before we close out the news tonight, our latest round of birthday shout-outs from the Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club. Happy birthday, Alana Agfaji. Happy 14th birthday, Alana, from your brothers, sister, mommy, and daddy. Danielle Marie Camborian coming out from family and friends wishing you a happy 26th birthday. And happy belated birthday going out to Joaquin Santos Bernardo. Remember, you can be a part of the Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club. Just register online, KUAM.com. Be sure to include your photo, your name, and your birthday. And that's going to do it for me here. Stay tuned. Andy's next with Extra.
Closed captioning is brought to you by IT&E. Half day and welcome to News Extra. I'm Andy Wheeler. We've got a full lineup tonight talking about Juror Appreciation Week and the